Hey y'all, my name is Jasmine Jones and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you're now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild, and this little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing Unprisoned Season 2, and we are sipping on fruit punch and absinthe. How y'all doing? So, I was excited when the second season came out. I already did the first season, so I'll probably try to attach it at the end of this video, a link to it, or, or something like that, so y'all can go back and peruse the first season. Some of y'all asked me to do the new Tyler Perry movie. I sat and I slogged through that. It was like walking through mud. Oh! The timing, the pacing. I mean, at least they tried with the acting, that wasn't off, but just the plot, the black woman trauma, once again, we can't find no love in Tyler Perry's mind. So I'll probably eventually do that at some point, maybe, but this was already planned. Like, I was waiting for season 2 to come out. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I really like this show, and let's get into it. So Unprisoned is about Kerry Washington's character Paige, and her dad in the first season had just got out of prison, and there was some hijinks and some ups and downs, so it got to the point where she basically had him living with her, and then she had to kick him out the house because he was doing some fuck shit that involved her son, and now her son, who has anxiety, is traumatized and didn't have to be. But the first episode, that's why the first episode pissed me off. So the first episode, she's going on a television show to be, the therapist guest with another therapist. Of course, it's Uncle Jesse. He was a horrible therapist in You. He was fucking his clients and smoking weed in session. And this one, he brought them to some conclusions that they needed to conclude, but how we get there is still kind of messy. So I'm just like, does he just like playing therapist? Like, does he just so enjoy that part that, you should just learn some things about mental health and shit if you really do, because to see you in another show where you playing a therapist, I'm just wondering, is this something that you want to do? Because it's very coincidental. But anyways, the first episode pissed me off because we act like some key points that happened in the first season didn't happen, and then everything kind of gets dumped on Paige to the point where she's apologizing by the end of the first episode, and I was just like, what, girl? So anyway, she goes on this talk show, and they're asking about, like, how do you deal with toxic family members around the holidays. And she just talked about disconnecting from them, like disconnecting, going no contact, and not being a part of their roller coaster, which is valid based off of the many times she tried to get her dad into therapy in the last season and he refused to go. And then the catalyst of what got him kicked out of the house was he didn't have a license, and her son was driving him to work, and he was lying to her son at first about going to work, and actually ended up at his girlfriend's house, fucking her all day. And so at some point he ends up driving around without a license because he feels bad because, Paige finds out that her son is driving him around, and then he ends up getting arrested because he didn't have no fucking license. And so you're involving my son in your shenanigans and lies after I brought you into my home. I've been trying to talk to you about therapy. Why wouldn't I disconnect at that point? Why now you've traumatized my child? So I'm confused why, Uncle Jesse just went so hard on her about, well, maybe you're not actually disconnected, and maybe you're just pretending to be disconnected. Maybe she didn't necessarily go no contact. Maybe she just didn't want him in her fucking house. And then, her son is trying to talk to him and call him on the phone, and this thing ain't picking up the phone. So the dad is isolating himself, And because he got kicked out of her house and won't talk to nobody when they call him on the phone. So I don't even think she even went 100% no contact. I think she just kicked him out of her house and just disconnected emotionally from his shenanigans. So she structured their relationship in a way to maneuver around his shenanigans. But this nigga over here talking about, oh, well, you shouldn't be disconnecting from your family. You should be working on yourself and figuring out what it is that's causing the issue between you and the other. Well, yeah, but if you work on yourself and the other person is still not willing to work on themselves, what exactly are we doing here? Because the goal was for her to acknowledge that her dad still hurts her, but where is it say that she wasn't acknowledging that? That's what led her to the point of disconnecting, because he hurt her so much he traumatized her son. To the point where in the first episode, her son keeps calling him over and over again and trying to figure out where he's at, and ends up driving around trying to look for him and on the phone, because I guess he dropped a pen or something, his location, and crashes the car into a bus stop. You got my son so fucked up and frazzled that he's crashing cars? And you want me to be okay with it after I've tried? At what point, sir, Uncle Jesse, what point do we just say, like, hey, maybe we need to take a break from this person? You feel like we should just keep banging our head against the brick wall until what? Until our head busts open and... No, because I'm confused. Because she did try to get him into therapy in the first season and he didn't want to go. This season he decides to this season, after his grandson gets in a car accident because he was looking for him. Now you have to be like a nigga has to be damn near killing themselves to get you to move. That's what I didn't understand. I didn't like that. I didn't enjoy it. I just felt like, how you gonna just act like this nigga wasn't doing fuck shit and she had a breaking point when it involved her child. And now her child's getting into car accidents because this nigga traumatized him with his lies and foolishness, and then got arrested. And now her child feels like it's his fault that granddad got arrested, and he wants granddad to come live with him again. Because he's young and he's a child and he doesn't understand that this is a common behavior in this man. This is not some simple mistake. Like, he even said at some point during this show, he feels like his granddad can do no wrong. Like, you don't see this person, honey. You don't see, because you're young and you haven't experienced years of this nigga tragically just breaking hearts and doing bullshit. So yeah, you don't understand. Yeah, you don't know what it is. And so you don't realize the mechanisms what connected him to making you be traumatized. You don't get that shit. So mama just looks like she's mean and she's nagging and all this other stuff. And on top of that, she is anxious. So she is always talking shit and complaining about stuff, and because she's still living in the past. So yeah, she has work that she needs to do. And it would have been great if she had just went to therapy for herself and worked on herself and did that work for herself. But he agrees to go to family therapy with her and Finn and, the dad, Edwin. And so they go to family therapy, and he gets to pick the therapist, and he gonna pick this nigga Murphy. And I'm just like, so you're picking the therapist that embarrassed your daughter on television because he said you were right and she was wrong. Selfish. I mean, they figured it out eventually in a couple of therapy sessions. They figured it out eventually. But it's just like, you picked the nigga, just continuing the pattern of not giving a shit about how you impact this little girl. Okay. I love the little girl that comes up, the inner child that keeps coming up in the beginning. Like, she comes back when they are doing the television show, and she was all like, why are you here? I told you I would take care of you. Go play. And it's like, no, that's not how inner child works. Your inner child's always there. You are your inner child. That's your vulnerable person. The adult you is just there to protect your vulnerable person inside. Your inner child is who you are when you feel safe and you can just be your complete self. It's who you are when you're at home by yourself. It's who you are when you're with your pet. It's who you are when you're with your safe person or people. You're always going to have your inner child with you because that's the most you that you're ever going to be when you feel safe. And so, yeah, she's still there. She's still rocking it. And I loved it. And so, okay, so they're at the family session, and then Murphy's just trying to pressure Paige into admitting that she's still bothered by this nigga. And so she looks him in the eye and she says, you were never there for me, and now you're doing the same thing to my son. She looks him dead in the face. And like, like he ain't a good therapist. He sat up there like picking at her and making her feel bad a type of way. Like, see, you're not detached. You're not talking shit. And then it's too much for her. She gets up and walks the fuck out. And then like what pissed me off was, okay, like she gets up and walks the fuck out. Edwin feels the type of way. And then Finn is left there sitting like, because he want grandpa to move home, and he doesn't understand why mom is always nagging him. There's a history here, child. You don't understand because you're a child. So I can see how it could be from the outside looking in as a child, never experiencing these things before, that it looks like your mom is just being a bitch. But no, there's a history here. Every time she has to deal with this man, she goes back to being the little child that she was. And no, she can't disconnect from him. She can't totally disconnect from him emotionally because she still loves him. Like, he's not like a horrible, abusive child molester, physical abuse. He just fucking up. Like, he not staying in her life. Like, he's an abandoner. Like, when he's there, he's a decent enough dad, but when he's not, he just out here wilding and shit. And he leaves, and it's fucked her up over the years. So there is a chance for them to work this out because there isn't like some super deep abusive trauma here, but she has to work that out through her nervous system, because every time she interacts with him, her nervous system goes off and she feels anxious and she feels overwhelmed and she feels upset and all this other stuff. I was pissed off at the end of this because she walked out of the therapy session. Then she went and had a conversation with Finn, her son. And Finn is just like, why did you walk out? She was just like, you don't understand this man. And I just don't want him to do the same thing. He's been in and out of our lives. You don't know how it feels to have somebody just in and out of your life and stuff. And he was just like, well, so you're saying everything that's happened to you and everything that's wrong with you is because of him? And she was like, yeah. And then he was just like, well, then that means everything that's wrong with me is because of you. And so she had like an epiphany and realized, oh, I'm repeating the cycle because of my anxiety and my responses to my triggers and over the years with my son. Like, she got some shit going on with her anxiety. So who knows over all these years how she's sequestered and just hovered over her child to the point where it's exacerbated his own anxiety. And it's probably hereditary too, because she was going through some shit when she was pregnant. So that intergenerational shit, trauma and stuff like that epigenetics and stuff, that he was probably born with anxiety. So she goes to her dad and she's like, I think we should work things out and you should come back home and live with me. And, and he's just like, I can't handle this, Paige. And I'm just like, you can't handle the one time that she decided to cut you off after you've been in and out of her life all these years, 11 times. The one time she decided to be out your life, you can't handle, nigga. How does it feel? Like, I would just be like, well, how the fuck does it feel? Because that's how I've been feeling all this time. Like, why would you... What do you mean you can't handle it, bitch? I've been handling it since I was 5. Like, have me up here with this abusive ass white woman and shit, girl. And the way they keep parading this white woman around like this bitch didn't emotionally abuse her, and she's just being extra for being triggered by this bitch. That bitch emotionally abused her. She was crazy. So that pissed me off. I was like, and then she ends up apologizing to him for walking out of the family session and all this other stuff. And I was just like, no, she's allowed to cut you off at least once for doing fuck shit. Like, she's allowed, because you did fuck shit and then it involved her son and that fucked him up. And he got in a car accident because it fucked him up. So yeah, and you didn't even take responsibility for the shit you did in that family session. You just mad that she complaining about the shit you did in the past and you want her to focus on the present and all this other stuff. Like, is that easy and shit like that? Like, nigga. And so she cut you off one time and she said that she don't want to deal with it and shit, and now you all of a sudden you just like, I can't handle all of this. You weak ass bitch ass nigga. The 5-year-old her is stronger. 5-year-old her is stronger than this nigga. And I just, when she started apologizing, I'm sorry for walking away, and I know you're trying. Like, how many times in the past has he tried and then failed? Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's just supposed to expect that this time is going to be better, like, off top. Like, she's not supposed to have a reaction at all. Like, this nigga is out here wilding, and we're just supposed to go with it. Like, and I understand he's been traumatized in his past, and he's fucked up, and his nervous system is set to not take responsibility for shit and stuff like that. But the one time she cut you off, you over here having a fucking panic attack. I just can't handle this. And the fucking 5-year-old version of her is stronger than this nigga is, and I just cannot. And so anyways, they go to another therapy session, and like, so then they go to another therapy session, and basically like the therapist is trying to get them to figure out what are things that they're struggling with. So finally he reads Dad for filth. He reads Evan for filth, and he's like, nigga, you just been in and out this child's life. You talking about you trying to get a job, but you ain't actually doing the thing. So this is do it season, nigga. Get your shit together. Finn over here like can't make no friends. He got shit going on. He got anxiety and shit like that. He don't know how to talk to people. And then she keep fucking up in her romantic relationship. She keeps being drawn to the cycle of toxic men because that's what she's used to. She can't comprehend that men are like, they're not all fucked up like that. And when you find a good one, yes, your nervous system is going to go haywire because a decent person looks just like love bombing. It is horrifyingly scary. It's like going into a, nice house and hoping that it's not a haunted house and shit. And then, it turning out not to be a haunted house. And then you got to sit there and keep soothing your inner child so that it won't do shit and react like it's a haunted house when it's not. And so like they all go off into the world and decide to be like, so Edwin is pissing me off right here because he low-key, like last season, and this is unethical anyways, but she was dating Edwin's case manager at the halfway house, Mal. And like, when you work in mental health, like, you don't date your clients' family members. It's fucking weird. You don't date your clients. It's fucking weird. But they was dating. They put that as a part of the story. And then Edwin keeps hinting that she needs to get back with Mal, and he keeps hinting to Mal that he needs to get back with her. And I'm just like, but didn't you instigate them breaking up? No, because last season when she was about to do her TED Talk and she asked her dad to help her, and she read a little piece of her TED Talk about how she's in this new relationship and it's very calm and she doesn't feel anxious and it feels nice. This nigga gonna say, well, maybe you don't feel anxious because you're not actually in love with him. And I'm just like, they literally been dating for like a month. They just made it Instagram official. Why the fuck would she be in love with him right now, this moment? And then this is what kind of set her off to end up cheating on Mal. Like, would she have done it if Dad hadn't said anything? I don't know. Because I fully think she believed that this nigga was helping her feel calm and magical and stuff. But, like, it didn't help. He never acknowledged that shit. He never apologized for that shit. He just doing what black parents do when they fuck up and they don't want to apologize. We're going to do it with our actions. You want something to eat? You want to go? You want a PlayStation? So he's trying to instigate them getting back together because he knew he fucked that shit up for her. And it was just irritating because it made it seem like she's just crazy and she's cheated on him and and it's like, no. He instigated her starting to spiral into her negative thoughts with his little commentary that was not needed. So Edwin goes and he gets a job at the halfway house as a case manager. And then, whatchamacallit? Edwin goes and gets a job at the halfway house as a case manager. he like finesses his way in by making it seem scary to the other applicants and shit. And like Finn ends up inviting one of the white kids from school to play video games with, and then the white kids start making fun of his little Lego creations and shit like that, and then he starts feeling bad and shit, and then he throws his Lego creation away, and I'm just like, there was nothing that told you that this nigga, like, Finn just don't be knowing stuff. He's young, and he just don't be seeing patterns in people when they're toxic. No, he don't. And then he be acting surprised when, cause he finally meets his dad at some point, and he just be acting surprised, like his mom ain't told him over and over again that nigga don't show up for people and shit. But you know, whatever it is. And then like Paige takes dating advice from her dad once again, and his advice is to basically mask on her dates and pretend to be this sultry vixen bitch. And I'm just like, see, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like when you got anxiety or any kind of neurodivergency or anything like that, it's best to just be yourself. Not yourself in like your worst way, but like if your idea of having a conversation to get to know somebody is to talk about your fixation, just talk about it. Don't take up the whole conversation with it. Don't go to the extreme with it, but just like, why are we sitting here giving like these one word mysterious answers when people ask you shit about yourself? Like she was either going to the extreme with her anxiety. Like on the first date before she talked to her dad, she was just like trying to get this dude to go on a trip with her and shit, like trying to hint at going on a trip with this dude. And I was just like, you don't know him, girl. Like, what is you doing? Like, she was like, do you have a passport? Like, I want to go to Tuscany. And I was just like, girl. And then she talks to her dad, and now she puts on red lipstick and she says sultry bitch. So when niggas ask her questions, like, what do you like to do for fun? Fun things. And I'm just like, it's either one or the other. Why can't I actually talk about what I want to do for fun? Because the thing is, no, I'm a weird bitch. And so I'm going to be my weird self. Like, I'm going to talk about shit I like to do for fun. I like to read. I like to watch anime. I like to play video games. I like to go on adventures. I like to travel. I like to do things. And I hope you quick on the uptake and we can talk back and forth about our common interests and have a full conversation. Like, oh, you like anime too? What's your favorite anime? Demon Slayer? Wow, what's your favorite character? And we can talk about episodes and we can have an actual conversation. But if you're not that, then what's the point of this date? If we don't match in that way where we can't have mutual conversations and, you know, experience each other, what's the point of this date? Because now it's like, either you gonna find out now who I am, or you gonna find out later when I have feelings, and then you gonna leave and I'm gonna be pissed off. I'd rather you find out now and either be put off by it, or the other extreme is see me as some magic pixie dream girl and put me on some weird ass pedestal instead of seeing me as a human being so I can drop your ass too, because I can't do that either. And then, like, then I'll know. Then I can just drop you either way. But, or you may be the unicorn in the woods and have the balance that I need that fits who I am. And we can have a decent conversations and get to know each other and we can spark something off. But I can't find that out if I'm not being real. If I'm being some sultry mystery bitch, then that's who you're going to start to like. And it's going to start to become annoying when I start to let that facade fall and try to be more of myself and interesting and funny and charming and all this other shit. And you're like put off by that shit. Then it's like, I could have just found this shit out on the first date, nigga. Like, this is a month in and like, I kind of like you now and shit. Like, see, fuck all this. I'm tired. So I didn't really like it. I don't believe masking is the way. I don't, because it's exhausting and overwhelming and it's upsetting. It is. And if you hold it for too long, it's a problematic. And if you aren't your true self and the person ends up not liking your true self, you have feelings for this person now. Now you're getting your feelings hurt. But, you know, for the context of the show, it seemed to be working for her to like be this sultry bitch, and she was going on dates and she felt more confident and stuff because niggas seemed interested in her and all this other stuff. But it's just like the same thing niggas do when they like us. They pretend to be all, you know, arrogant and weird and shit, and like, instead of just being a random ass fucking self, and they make it seem like they're this cool model-esque type personality, and like we be falling for that shit. In reality, they just ain't shit niggas. They have no hobbies and don't like to do anything, and they just ain't got no personality really. And I've been so many experiences. It's exhausting. So it was just like, I don't know. I just didn't necessarily like it. And then we go through these episodes where she's like just trying to figure herself out. Like she keeps running into Mal. Like she goes to this college fair with her kid and stuff like that. And at one therapy session, we realized that Finn might have generalized anxiety disorder. That's where you're just always anxious. There's this undercurrent of anxiety, and anything can spark it off. It's no specific trigger. You hear some shit on the news. You hear a loud noise. You got social anxiety mixed in there. You worry about what people think. So he's narrating for a little bit, and he's talking about like all this stuff about being anxious and things like that, and what it feels like. And so like it sparks off with his mom. Like his mom is always, she's kind of pressuring him. She's pressuring him about school and about directions that he wants to take. And then he wants to know who his dad is. She won't talk to him about his dad because she had bad experiences with him, and she don't want him to have a bad experience. But at some point, you gotta just let your kids experience the trauma as long as the person's not abusive. If the person is abusive and shit like that, then no, you know what I mean? I don't care. I'll tell you the truth. That nigga hit me in the face. He hit me in the face a bunch of times. And so you're not going to be around some nigga that hits bitches in the face. That's who your daddy is. I made a mistake and had a baby with somebody that hit me in the face. We all make mistakes, but them weren't mistakes that he was making. Those were on purpose. He likes to hit bitches in the face. So no, you don't get to meet him on my watch. You don't get to meet him on you when you get 18 and you got your own shit. Then you can meet him, but you ain't meeting him on because no, you're young, you're small, you're a minor, you can't fight back. Like I'm not about to send you nowhere to see no nigga that used to hit me in the face. Like. But it's like she not explaining to him like why she was off his dad and stuff. And so he's sitting up here just like, oh, why won't you like talk to me about my dad? Why won't you like, let me see him? And you're so controlling and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, no, sweetness, we just didn't want you to have to go through that trauma of having some nigga in and out your life. But I guess if you want to experience that, I'm gonna let you experience, and I'll be here to comfort you afterwards and stuff like that. So, but anyway, she has this like college fair for her kid, and apparently he ain't got no extracurricular activities, and colleges like to see that you like to do stuff outside of academics, which is some bullshit. Just let people just get the grade. Like, why they got to do all this extra shit outside of academics? College is for academics. You go to college and you'll never do no extracurricular activity again once you in college. But they want you to do all these extracurriculars while you're in high school. It's some dumb shit. I don't care. And so, like, he's just feeling the type of way. And then Edwin's talking about, well, like, he doesn't even have to he can get a job and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, the way white supremacy has set up the world at this point, where they trying to automate everything and fire everybody, and can't nobody get a job, and we're in inflation and can't nobody afford nothing. It shouldn't be this way, and white supremacy made it this way. And so we got to play their game and make enough money to survive. And so you need to get a degree in some shit that's going to make you some money, unless you are a super entrepreneur and can start your own shit from scratch and build it up to become something big. Because you can't just be out here talking about, this is not the 90s and the 80s where you could work at McDonald's and work your way up to corporate one day. This is not that. Like, you can't do that shit no more. Like a studio apartment is $2,500. People are out here making $15 an hour when a studio apartment is $2,500. So no, you can't. I understand, but he's coming from like the 90s and old school shit. Like, this is not how the world works. He needs to go to college. He needs to get a decent career so that he's not extra stressed out financially on top of all the other things that are making him anxious. And so I was just looking at Edwin like, honey, this isn't the 90s. This isn't This isn't that. We can't tell these kids not to go to college or that they can be this, that, or the other. Trades, you can still do trades. Even if you do a trade, nigga, like at least do something that's gonna make you enough money to not be homeless, because that is what the white man wants. And yes, we should live in a world where we can like live on communes and barter in the communes and be happy. But the thing is, you can have a commune, but you need at least a couple $1,000,000 to buy the land to build the commune. So who has a couple $1,000,000 off top to buy the land to build a commune? Because this ain't a world where you can just go and squat on some land like in the old west and not have the police eventually come because you building fucking cottages in the middle of the woods, and then some white people see you and they call the police. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can have the commune, you just need the money first. And once you have the money, you still gonna have to pay the property taxes. So you still gonna have to sell goods and wares from that commune to pay the taxes for the land and all the other fees and all the other shit that these white people make you attached to, so that you can never really be free. I mean, you could go to a different country and build some shit and do some shit like that, but you need the money to get to the different countries, and you still need the money to buy the land in the different countries, because different countries ain't just gonna let you squat on their fucking land and build a bunch of cottages and gardens and shit. So you see how the white man has made the world fucked up so that we can't do the shit we need to do. So no, he needs to go to college. He doesn't have any talents. He's not an entrepreneur. He's too anxious. He needs the structure of college. Some of us need the structure of college to get a decent career. And you need to research what fields are making decent money that you would be interested in working in, that would make you feel fulfilled and happy with the rest of your life, or at least learn how to invest money so that eventually you can quit the job because you build up so much money from your investments, so you don't need to have to worry about that shit no more. But you got to do something. You got to do something that does not involve, oh, he could just get a job. No, sweetness. No, honey. And when you work at the halfway house, they don't pay you enough to buy your own anything. Does Edwin not know how much things cost now? Like he was living at the motel paying every day, but like, does he know how much? I'm sure he knows how much an apartment costs, because he chose the motel instead of actually getting a studio, which in the 90s probably would have been like $400 or $500 a month for a studio apartment. So he has to know that just getting a job is not the way. So anyways, like, he decides to bring the child to the halfway house, and she running a mile at the halfway house, and it's just awkward between them because they still like each other. They still like each other, and she invites Mal to this little panel about social media and social work and things like that, and he does so great that she invites him to dinner. She's trying to start some shit because she knows she lost a good thing. And for me, I feel like, so Mal has a girlfriend, right? It's Brandy from P Valley. I was like, oh, it's nice to see her and other shit, but it's Brandy from P Valley, and they go out to dinner, all three of them. She got everything on point. She's a lawyer. She does a pole class. She's social justicey. She got all the shit. I feel like, because they end up together at the end of this shit, Paige and Mal, I feel like, because Brandy's dad is also in jail for like life or some shit, I feel like Mal's attracted to broken bitches because he's a fixer. But Brandy ain't broken enough for him. Like, she's just happy. She don't even seem mad about Paige. She don't even see Paige as competition. She invite Paige to the pole class. Paige doing a good job. Paige saw it as a competition and tried to do what Brandy did, and she climbed the pole and did good for a second and fell on her fucking face. But every time she runs into her, she's just happy. She's just fine. She's just like, hey girl, how you doing? And I just feel like she's a little too healthy for Mal, and that's why it was so easy for Mal to break up with her. Like, Paige always just is oozing sadness. It's just falling off the bone with sadness. Like, I'm not saying, I think her name in the show is Ava. I'm not saying Ava isn't got shit going on, What I'm saying though is that she seems to deal with it in a healthier way to where you can't really tell that she got shit going on. She ain't even like I couldn't tell a hint of anger at Paige or jealousy at Paige. She was just like, no, I'm good. Like she got her pole class, she confident, she doing shit. Like I feel like my personality is closer to Ava's unless I give a shit about somebody. That's when there's a crack in the armor. That's when I start caring about what you think about me and how you feel and wanting to people please and do all this extra shit. That's when it come out. That's why I can't just be with anybody and shit, nigga. Cause no, you ain't about to take advantage of my weaknesses and make me feel all types of ways. And then I'm gonna have to leave your ass because I'm still a strong bitch. And I ain't gonna be with no nigga taking advantage of my vulnerabilities. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. But then I'm gonna have to go through being sad and shit. Like I don't feel like being sad over no. And then you gotta start all over again and shit. No, the next one is gonna be the end. I don't feel like starting all over again. Nigga, like, what are you talking about? Like, you doing too much. I don't want to. And so I just feel like Mal might be a little bit, but then it works for them because they're not toxic people. Like Mal's not trying to take advantage of her vulnerabilities or leave out of her life. And I think it fulfills him to support her and be supportive of all the sadness oozing, just pouring off the bone when it comes to her. So I don't feel like it's like a toxic relationship. I feel like certain people belong with certain people in that situation. And in that situation, like, he's a fixer and she needs to be fixed. She needs support, like, all the time. And she got issues and shit. And he loves that shit. He loves that shit. And it's magical for them. And he's supportive and strong and kind. And I feel like in the relationship with Ava, he probably feels like, what am I here for? But it's like you can't look at a bitch that handles her emotions in a healthy way and be like, oh, I don't need to even be here then. Like she got the money, she got the power, and she ain't even sad like that most of the time and shit. Like then let's have fun and be kids, nigga. We the Lost Boys and shit. Like let's go. Like what's why can't you be fun then, nigga? And then sometimes you gonna need to pick up the pieces and be there for her, and she gonna be sad and caring and shit. Like these are the relationships where she leaning on to pick something. You at dinner and she lean down to pick something up, and you just put your hand there so she don't bump her head. These are relationships where you look around her house and see if something broken and fix it. Just cause like this is a relationship where y'all just can sit and play video games and laugh and have fun most of the time and shit like that. It's like, damn, nigga, like there are things that we can do together to be people. Like it doesn't always have to be like you need to fix somebody just to be in a relationship and shit. You can just be together and be happy and free and shit. Like I just that made me upset a little bit. I was just like, so what kind of nigga belongs with an Ava? Because like I just feel like she needs support too. She just handles her emotions a little bit better, but like that don't mean that she ain't got them. That don't mean like she always on happy and shit. Like she probably get tired and stressed out and shit like that, and you still need to be there for her and shit. But a relationship ain't gotta always revolve around like what you can do for me and shit. Sometimes a relationship just revolve around just having that companionable silence or having a good time or having fun and laughing and shit. And I just don't understand why niggas don't understand that. So, like he's a fixer and she needs to be fixed. And so they got back together at the end or whatever. And, we never saw Ava again. But anyway, she be running into him and shit. And they went on a little dinner date. And come to find out, he's in a relationship with such and whatever. And like, she feeling awkward and shit about it. But she still goes to the damn fucking stripper class and shit. I'm tired. Anyways, Finn is like over here like volunteering for college at the halfway house. And the first time he goes there, they over there fucking with him in his shoes and shit, talking about they trying to steal his shoes and shit, and he gets anxious and runs away. And then he goes there again. He just tries to be brave, and he goes there again, and then his grandfather starts teaching him how to fight. It's just something niggas do. They like to be aggressive and, physical and shit. I ain't got nothing bad to say about it. It's some shit niggas do. They like, I like to sleep. Ain't nothing wrong with learning how to box though. Like, ain't nothing wrong with it. I just, I don't know what to say about it. They was over there boxing, and then the nigga hit him in the face on accident. Like, that's what happens when you do combative arts and shit. Sometimes you get hurt. Shit, I keep telling myself I want to go back to Taekwondo, but ain't done it yet. I still remember how to kick though. I can hit a nigga with. Don't fuck with me. And hit him in the face and shit. And then, Paige is all like, oh my gosh, what happened? But she fucked up her face anyways at the stripper class, so she ain't got shit to say. And so, Finn writes his little college application essay and shit and puts in there how his grandfather taught him how to be a man and stuff. And it was a bonding episode, and it was magical for them. Good for them. And I think this is the episode because last season he did a job for somebody and drove a car somewhere when they went to Alabama and shit. At first I thought they was in the car with him, but no, he had let them go ahead and he stayed behind, and he told them that he was seeing his cousin Bumpy and shit, but he really did a job over in there. And one of his friends that he was living at when he first got out of jail that sold drugs or distributed or whatever, he got arrested, and so he thought that nigga was gonna like snitch on him and shit, and so he was anxious about that shit, and so the nigga didn't snitch on him, but it was just like the last remnants of the bullshit you need to work your way through, nigga, because I'm tired. And this still goes back to, because I'm not gonna say niggas ain't got, like, it still goes back to the nervous system. If that's how you live your life, if that's you always in survival mode, you grew up in the streets, that it's hard, you gonna have to let that go piece by piece. And that's how like niggas still end up back in jail, even though they've been working on it. It's addiction. You're addicted to surviving on quick money. The dopamine is the quick money. Like, you want me to work my way up from Target, if they even will hire convicted felons that are black men and shit. You want me to work my way up from Target when I could go out here and sell some shit and make like a few thousand in a couple hours. Okay. That's a lot. Like you that's like somebody that's an alcoholic and you telling them just to stop cold turkey today. Because it's an addiction to trauma. Like, that's a dopamine rush. Dopamine is the hormone, the feel-good hormone. Dopamine is what makes you high when you do drugs. The drugs just create more dopamine in your brain. That's why you're high. So, like, dopamine comes out whenever you're doing anything calming, relaxing, or anything that makes you happy. That's what makes you feel happy. And so you watching TV, you eating your favorite snack, anything that makes you feel happy or euphoric is usually dopamine. And so trauma will, in the good moments, give you like a huge surplus of dopamine, and you feeling euphoric in your traumatic situation, thinking this is passion and this is kismet and this is normal and look, I have an epiphany. It's why everybody that be in toxic relationship with abusive niggas be having moments where they be talking about, but I have this feeling inside where I know that we're connected like this and we're soulmates and shit. Every fucking person that has been in a long-term abusive relationship has had moments where they have thought or felt that bet. Cause nigga, that's dopamine, bitch. You're high. That's just because people that belong together are not gonna hurt you. You're gonna be able to be like the niggas that can be with Ava, just chilling all the time and playing video games and having fun, and then occasionally you like support each other through things and then going back to chilling, and you ain't gotta be all insecure just because this person has their own things that make them happy. They're always gonna come back to you, and you trust that they are, and you're not gonna be all weird and shit about it. And it's calm most of the time, and occasionally you have these passionate moments and stuff like that, but for the most part it's just this calm, content feeling. That's where you're supposed to be at. That's where your nervous system is happy at. That's how relationships and friendships and coworkerships and just life in general is supposed to be. So if you're feeling hurt in some area of your life, for the most part, it's a roller coaster. It's up and down. And then occasionally you get this euphoric feeling that feels like you're on cloud nine. You're high, bitch. You're just high. That's all it is, because the things that are for you will not hurt you on a consistent basis. They'll hurt you sometimes because people have to die. People, might have to work late or do actually really work late or go on a business trip, and that's going to trigger your past trauma. But in reality, niggas got to do that sometimes depending on their jobs and shit like that. And you're just going to be sitting there like... So those are the types of things that like you look for in a relationship, in anything. And so it's understandable that he would go back to, like, in the process of his healing, he's going to have hiccups. In the process of all of our healing, like, we don't just go from 0 to 100 healed. Like, broken healed. That's not zigzags, and because our nervous system has to heal. Like, if you were to fall and bust your whole knee up and shit, nigga, your knee is not gonna go from busted to healed. You ain't Wolverine. So why would your nervous system, why would your emotions, why would anything in your body that everything else takes time to get itself together, why would you think that your emotions would be different? This is a habit. Our brain is a brain of habit and continual, the more we do something, our brain will build neurotransmitters around the habit so that are targeted at specific triggers. And when we experience that trigger, the neurotransmitter that's been built based off the habit that we usually use to deal with that trigger is going to light up. And that's what's going to cause the stomach aches and the panic attacks and all this other shit that's painful, like physically painful in your body. Not just emotionally, but physically painful, because your emotions are tied to your body because your brain's an organ. And so you don't just feel it mentally, you feel it physically. All that shit's going to light up till you do your toxic coping skill. And once you do your toxic coping skill, that dopamine rush, that calming, that dissociative thing, whatever happens to make you chill the fuck out for a second, that's going to always happen. And so you have to actively work at reversing that by cultivating a new habit, a new positive coping skill that will start to build a new neurotransmitter around that specific trigger. And it's like how if something is coming towards your eye will blink. Like your eyelids have learned to automatically just blink. But like if I practice for a long time to not blink when something comes towards my eye, it's like them niggas that can practice to not to like hold their breath underwater for like minutes and shit. Or the monks that can like go up into the mountain. I watch a lot of documentaries and read a lot of books and shit, so you just gonna have random facts and shit. That's my coping skill. And so it's like the monks that go up into the mountains and they just be wearing sheets and shit, and it be snowing negative 500 degrees, and they up there like they skin is red because they so hot. Because they train their mind to adjust their body to that shit. So like, when they were born, they couldn't do that. Their body was already set up a certain way, and they retaught it over years. So you have to reteach your mind and your nervous system over years to stop the shit that you're used to doing that makes you feel better, that's toxic. And so like it's understandable that he would get out of jail and still do some fuck shit. It's understandable that he would get out of jail and get his son involved in fuck shit. It's understandable that he would, isolate and not know how to respond to this new reaction of her taking her space from him and shit like that. It's all understandable. Like, it's not right. No, it's not right, because you still know you're doing the thing. Like, you still know you're doing the thing, and you still have the power to stop at any time. Like, this is not something that just takes control of your body and stops you from stopping. It's just really painful. So most people just give into it because they want to stop the pain. But like, it's the same shit you do when you go to the dentist and it hurts and you're anxious and it feels like you're being traumatized again. But you lay there and you take that shit. You're a G about it, and you let them motherfuckers drill into your motherfucking shit until you got motherfucking good ass teeth, nigga. Because the rewards and the benefits outweigh, all the other shit that I would have done instead. That I would have gotten instead. Like, all that, it outweighs the pain. There you go. The rewards and the benefits outweigh the pain, honey. And so, like, ain't everybody that's strong enough minded. That's why sometimes you have to take space from these niggas and have structured relationships with them, because they're not strong enough minded, and they will do shit that will be your downfall, because you're a little bit above them when it comes to the strong enough minded, because you practice more. It's like somebody that's buff and somebody that's not buff. Like, you practice more. It doesn't make you a better person. It's just you practice more. They have the capability to do that too and be buff and shit like that, but they don't fucking want to. So it's not my fault. So fuck you, Uncle Jesse. No, that was personal. No, fuck that motherfucker. It's not my fault. Like, you're not gonna be my downfall, honey. You're not gonna be my downfall. Like, I need you to be chill when you're around me. And that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, but like, I gotta see that you regulate yourself to the best of your fucking ability. Just like I have to constantly regulate myself to the best of my ability all the fucking time for the sake of my peace of mind and other people around me. So if you don't have that capability, you don't need to be here and shit around me. And that's not asking to be perfect. That's just asking to be similar. And it ain't asking for too much. It isn't. And she wasn't asking for too much, because he was spreading that shit to her son. Yeah, she had already spread some trauma and shit to her son, because she's hereditary and she anxious and she got some shit going on. But like, he was still thriving and surviving and not getting in car accidents and shit. He escalated that shit to a whole other level. Her son could have died in that car accident. You see the way his head banged off that motherfucking pillow and shit? Nigga, he could have died. The front of that car was fucked up. Like, he could have died because this man made him so anxious that he just couldn't stop checking his phone to find this nigga, because he felt it was his fault this nigga went to jail. I would have hit that motherfucker in the face. And then we can heal. No, because now we're even. My son's face is fucked up and your face is fucked up. We're even. That's my child. Like, this is your fault. Like, and it didn't have to be if you weren't here. Like, and then you want to be here, but you're choosing to not take responsibility for your actions per last season. So I'm glad that it scared him enough to go to family therapy, because bet if he hadn't done shit, nigga. So the fact that they had her apologizing after the end of that episode, the first episode, when her fucking son could have died, because this nigga traumatized him enough to where he could have died. Like, the worst that probably would have happened with his mom is that he just probably wouldn't have been connected to her really, and he probably would have married some white woman and flushed the blackness out of his family at some point, and it would have, that's horrible too. That's horrible too, but he would have been alive. You doing stuff that got my child over here crashing shit into fucking girl immediately though. Like this isn't like some shit that maybe down the line when he's older and he's, you know, hasn't dealt with his mental health because he's been traumatized by his mom being a therapist, and so now he's just like, I don't want to go to therapist when my mom was a therapist and she was always psychoanalyzing me and shit. I've gotten those clients too and shit. He decides like, you know, end everything and stuff. That's horrible too. But you had him almost ending shit 6 months after you came into our lives when I got him this far. You see that? You see the way his head banged off. No, he looks like a little baby cherub child. Like you just, the way his head banged off the fucking. So you had her apologize to him because he couldn't take his own medicine. Whatever, nigga. Whatever, nigga. So I understand, but I just, you know. There's no fucking excuse. So anyways. Like, she's out here in the next episode. Or she's out here, like, her, like, friend. She's still, like. Okay, so in the next episode, we see her like exploring her sexuality and shit. I think they just kind of threw this shit up in here. Like her sister is Asian because they were adopted. They were in foster care and grew up in the same house together and shit. She's Korean and shit. And I guess Paige talking about her book, and she's talking about this one time in college, like this one time in band class and band camp. This one time in band camp. She was this one time in college, you know, I almost kissed the bitch, but then I got scared and ran the fuck off and shit. And it's just like, okay, and everybody did. Some people got scared and ran the fuck off, some people didn't. Like, what does it matter? Are you gay or some shit? Like, are you bi? Like, what's going on? Pansexual. And so she was just like, she kissed the bitch, and so now she's wondering, like, maybe because her sister's like, maybe like your problems with relationships isn't because you were with the wrong men, maybe it's because you were with the wrong gender. And it's just, oh, she read me for filth with that painfully cis hetero. Like, this is how you know it's not a fucking choice, nigga. No, it is. It is. Like, it's not a choice. It's not, because no one would choose to be with niggas. Nobody know, because, like, the statistics is out there. They killing all of us and shit, nigga. They about to blow up this motherfucking shit, nigga. They causing wars all over and shit, nigga. Like, no, nigga, no one would choose this. This is the devil. Like, you gotta sit here and wait for these motherfuckers to decide to... Like, I can go out there and get anything I want if I worked hard enough and was willing to sacrifice enough. Like, monetarily, like, I could be a billionaire. I just don't have it. I don't have that energy. I'm by myself. Like, no. I have anxiety and depression, all sorts of shit, and I don't feel like working that hard by myself. Like, I'm not doing that shit. But if I wanted to, I could. Like, I know I could. Like, it's just a known fact. But, like, with niggas, it's like, you have to wait for the right one to like you. And you also have to be attracted to them. And, like, there's so many variables that are just outside of your control. And it's just so irritating. And if you try to force it to happen, you're, like, crazy. Because you're tired of waiting, because you can force everything else to happen and shit like that. And then, like, the only way you can force it to happen is if you, like, emotionally abuse them because they're weak ass niggas and they're emotionally unstable and shit. And they don't want to get therapy and shit. So it's very easy to get a nigga if you just want, like, monetary stuff or, like, sex and shit. You just have to do the same shit they do to us. That shit about niggas, like, chasing bitches and shit and all putting them on a pedestal. No, what's really happening when they chase us is that when you act like you don't like them, that triggers their abandonment issues, just like it triggers our abandonment issues, and they chase you the fuck down. But when like you start to like them and you get comfortable, they feel like, oh, they got you now. They got you emotionally, and they can like do whatever they want to you as long as they like treat you all fucked up and shit. And then you're in some weird ass cycle that you don't know how the fuck you got in it, bitch. And so like you could do the same shit to them. They like the same shit. All emotions are the same. And so yeah, you get a nigga if you just want some money and shit. You just hurt their feelings and shit. You just finesse them. It's not that. It really isn't that hard. It's not. It's exhausting, but it's not that hard. It's exhausting because it's like you don't really like these people, and so you start to resent them and shit. You're just out here just using them as like a comfort blanket or some shit or a money bank. And then every time they open their mouth, they start to fucking annoy you and shit. Like, That's exactly how they see us when we be chasing after them and shit, because they don't really like us and shit. The ones that be treating bitches fucked up and shit, they don't really like us and shit. And then so it's like if you could just be with a bitch, like you have conversations, it'll be interesting and shit. It's just vagina's disgusting, like it's nasty. No, it is. Like it's like wet and it smells different. I don't like it. This shit is nasty. And so, like, it's not a choice. You can't just have conversations and have adventures. And because the bitch was feminized, like, she knows how to be, like, emotional and shit. Like, ooh, and she just, like, lets you be you and shit, like, because she's a bitch. And she was allowed to be her, and she's all healthy and shit because she went to therapy and shit. Like, she's just got vagina and, like, breasts. Like, no, it's not... No. So I felt it. She had her little experience though, and she realized that she didn't like women. She just liked the intimacy. I feel like what really happened is she was in college by herself and she missed her sister, and this bitch reminded her of her sister, but she also was like physically attracted to her or some shit. And like, she got connected and she thought she mistook it for lust. I hated how she kissed this bitch though. Like, she was like, the top lip. It was the top lip for me. I was like, what the fuck is she? Is she trying to illustrate that this is awkward? Like, is that what's going? Because I hate it. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand this shit. No, it was the top lip for me. It's like when she holding her teeth weird in it. To the other show. Should have been. Maybe she did it on purpose so she could look like awkward and shit. I think that's what was happening. And so she said some shit in here though. Like they was talking about the name of the book chapters and shit, and like they was like, the girl was just like, oh, you could name one. You don't like one night stands because you don't know how long it's been since he washed the sheets and shit. I was like, yes, bitch. What the fuck? Do people don't know how nasty bodies are? Just bodies in general, like how they collect smells and sweats, and like that's how I know I'm not gonna cheat on niggas. Just because like I don't want to get. You smell different, like your body tastes different. Like I don't know how often you bathe. Like I'm used to this motherfucker. I know that he moisturizes and cleans between his ass cheeks and washes his hands after he uses the bathroom every single fucking time. Like he cleans under his nails and shit. Like no, I know the grooming habits of this motherfucker. You want me to just have some one night stand with some new weird ass nigga that got like hard fucking wash towels in his shower and shit, like. And things looking like statues and shit in his shower. His sheets smell like booty hole and shit. Are you fucking crazy? multiple people that's touching me. Like, I know how gross I am. Like, I just would not want to be sharing that with, like, multiple, more than one. I just be like, niggas don't feel this way, but then I remember that niggas will fuck dead bodies. And then I just, no, just uncouth. Just some dirty niggas. Like, they will fuck dead people, y'all. So, no, they're not like that. Like, they don't care. They don't care who they touch. Their body's not a temple to them. Like, they don't honor it, or this is just me. Like, if other people have other feelings about their bodies, they ain't wrong. This is how I feel about my body and shit. Cause you gotta say that, cause niggas be sensitive and shit. Are you saying that everybody else is nasty hoes and no, nigga, like, do the fuck you, bitch. Care. I'm saying that I feel like I have to vomit if I smell a dirty smell coming off of somebody's body. I just be like, their breathy smell like spit and ass. It's just heightened. I just can smell a lot of it. You're having crust in their eyes and all sorts of shit going on, textured skin and all sorts of dirt and just nasty. And you just want me to touch more than one nigga. Your body's a temple. It's holy and shit. Mine is shit. And they be touching other people and then they'll be bathing. Even if they did, it's still in the crevices and shit, nigga. Like, if you touching other people, you ain't clean enough to clean yourself well enough. And even if you was, your soul is dirty. So it don't even fucking matter. They cheating and shit just like it's nothing and shit. Like, the person they with don't even fucking matter and shit. Like, they body ain't holy and shit. I'm tired. Like, if you want some shit and you agree to be monogamous, why the fuck would you do some shit like this? He's a dirty bastard. Like, even if you polyamorous, you sitting up here like with multiple people that agree to the same thing. So you still kind of sort of know how many people you touching and where they been because you talk about it and shit. But like, niggas that just be filthy with it. Like, what's wrong with y'all? It's so gross. Oh God, my stomach hurts. No, people be having like feces and shit on them and shit. The dirt in their fingernail be ass and shit. You want me to just touch that shit? I'm not doing that. What the fuck? You think I would do some shit like that? It's so disgusting. But anyway, she realized that she wasn't. She realized that she wasn't gay. Shit. And then this nigga Edwin over here trying to incriminate this white woman. And she work in the mayor office and he's trying to get all this information on his criminal past and shit. She trying to make sure that this nigga don't snitch on him. And I'm just like, see, look at you still involving people. This is choices. It's like, but I refuse to go on the run. I refuse to leave my family and da 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 da. I mean, it worked out. It's just... It worked out. In the name of Jesus. Shut up. And then, like, they go to therapy again, and they invite Nadine and shit. And I'm just like, this nigga mad because earlier in the day, she kept, like, downing his little business and acting like it wasn't a big deal. Like, your little catering situation, because he's catering for her sister and shit. And I'm just like... They figured out though, because when they go to therapy, like they had this little, I like the little imagery. They had this little boxing ring thing, and at first she's like mad at Nadine. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's valid for her to be mad at Nadine. Like, Nadine isn't just bipolar and all that. She was abusing her. Like, she was abusing this child and neglecting this child. Like, y'all be glossing over that shit. Like, she ain't supposed to be upset, but you made her sit in the same room as her abuser. Like. This nigga over here is just an abandoner. Like, yes, upsetting and hurtful, but he didn't hit her in the face. He wasn't talking down on her and making her feel like shit about herself and shit, like that's why she hated the situation, because he was always a great dad when he came around and shit, like, but then would just disappear and take all the happiness with it, and then she had to deal with this evil bitch. And then she had to go to this super Christian home and shit, where she had to like be all confined and shit in her Christianity and shit, and like didn't get to express herself fully like she wanted to. I mean, the parents were loving, but it just felt a little sequestered. That's all, a little tight, And so, like, I just feel like it's valid for her to be upset. But then, like, the nigga directs it at the dad and shit, because the dad is the one that was all, like, not in her life and shit. And so, basically, she was able to just admit that, since I basically, like, regress every time you bring up Nadine, because, like, you put Nadine over me when you came back out of jail and shit. It made me feel like shit about it. Like, no, it is. Like, he was probably like all up in Nadine's guts and shit, just paying all the attention to this bitch and wasn't really paying attention to her like that. So see, there was some other shit. See, there was some stuff. And so they was both doing some shit beyond like when he was around and when he wasn't around and shit. See, that's fucked up. It is. And so now he finally get it. Why she keep not giving a shit about his business, why she keep bringing up the past, because it's in her nervous system. Like, she waited on this nigga to fumble because he almost killed her son. Like, do you not understand? This just happened a few weeks ago. No, I keep bringing that up because people act like that's not a big deal. Like, she was apologizing at the end of the first episode. Like, it was fucked up. It was insanity. This nigga almost killed your son with his trauma and his ways. But like, yeah, like he finally got that. No, nigga, you got some work to do. You gonna have to keep showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up until she finally fucking believes you and shit. And it happens. People choose to be around the people and shit. Like, if they keep showing up and shit over time, they believe them. It might take a few years. But, that's the sacrifice we make when we took away decades of other people's lives. What? You took away decades of other people's lives. You're mad that it might take about, like, 5 years of consistent showing up for this person to, like, fall back in love with you and trust you and all this other shit. Okay, honey. You just can't sit with that. You just gotta be, like, making her apologize in the first episode of shit, like she did some shit because you almost killed her son. He did almost kill his child. Like, he was looking down at his grandfather's location, my nigga, because he was so desperate to find this man, because he blamed himself for this nigga getting arrested. If he ain't never seen nobody he know get arrested in real life, he should have never experienced that trauma, at least, because this nigga wanted to sit up here and fuck up. So yes, he almost killed her son. Why would she be? Why would she be like, just, Dad, that's so amazing that you're doing this food truck. I just believe in you 100%. Shit. No, they're like, you almost killed her fucking son. That little nigga gonna die. He hit that motherfucking pillow so hard. I was so upset. I was just like, that nigga's neck looked like it wobbled and shit. And then he's just sitting up there mad, talking about like why can't I see my dad and and she was just like, cuz he ain't gonna show up for you and you gonna be traumatized again. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to see you traumatized. Sometimes as long as they're not abusive, you just gotta let them find them niggas and shit. You just gotta let them see the abandonment with their own eyes. And at the end of the Christmas episode, he was just like, why this nigga don't love me, man? No, he didn't say that. He said, why would he say he was gonna show up and not? Like, literally, that's how kids be thinking. They just can't comprehend that you would lie. Like, that the shit that other people are telling them about how people show up sometimes is a lie. Like, they just kept trying to put it on her, talking about, oh, well, that's just your fear that you think is gonna happen, and you're trying to project that on your son. And I was are we gaslighting? What are you talking about? This nigga's about to break this child's heart and shit. Nigga, what is... He said, why would he say he was gonna show up and then not show? Cause nigga, your mama told you he was a liar. What? He was love bombing you when you walked in the house, talking about, oh, I'm gonna take you here and I'm gonna take you there, and you motherfucking liar. I immediately clocked that shit. I was like, what's going on? Let's play video games. I'm the fun, and then picking an argument with her just because she said, oh, I wouldn't keep him away from his dad. And then he was like, oh, well, let's go on my tour and da-da. And she was just like, oh, but let's see about school and stuff first. And I was just like, what was wrong with that? He goes to school. He's about to go to college. Why wouldn't she see about school and stuff first? Nigga, you ain't got no money. You married some chip bitch. Your son ain't got that luxury and shit. Nigga, like, what is you... Oh my gosh. And so, like, you picking a fight with this bitch like she did. Oh, that's how you always were, Paige. And you motherfucking bitch made ass. I'm tired. Like, no, because they're really trying to make her seem like she's crazy in this bitch. Like, no, like, she got some hang-ups. She is anxious. She do be overthinking shit. She is jittery and shit. Like, she do got some shit, but, like, she wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong. Like, this nigga didn't show up, but kids don't be knowing shit, so sometimes you just gotta let them expose themselves and then just be there to comfort them when the nigga don't show up. So he goes to see his dad, right? And apparently she got pregnant because she fucked him with some rollerblades on. And I just am curious. Like, that doesn't... So she got pregnant because she fucked him with some rollerblades on. Here's this white man and shit, and he was like a musician or whatever. And so he goes and visit his dad, and then Etsy and Edwin go with them. Etsy's about to go visit like this Korean convention of like these Asian, or this, I don't know if they were, I think the ones they were sitting with were Korean, but I think it was like all the Asians and stuff that got adopted by like white people and shit. And they was just sitting, they was mad. I was just like, I mean, some people get adopted by really racist ass fucking people, and then they gotta grow up like being discriminated against in their own home like every fucking day. And there's nothing you can do because you're like a minor, so it's like either you're gonna be homeless or out on the streets or in foster care. Because you adopt these kids as like babies and shit, and they just be like doing all this extra shit that's upsetting and shit because it was like a novelty. It wasn't really like, I want a child because like I wanted like care for, you know, a child and watch them grow into the person they meant to be and help them with that and shit. You know, you out here just like, I want a child because it's so cute, like a purse. And they grow up into like people with like opinions and shit. You be mad about that shit. Like, how dare you talking? So I got what they was mad. Like, it seemed like, you know, they had some shit to be mad about and stuff. Like, it just ain't felt right. It ain't felt right for a long time for these folks. And so, you know, Edwin got to see how when you don't even have a parent and don't even know who your parent is, it fucks you up. So how much does it fuck you up when you in and out your child's life and you just giving little bits and pieces and shit? He had to think about that shit. That shit fucked him up. So, you know, he gets to experience shit and understand stuff and things like that. But, like, over here, this nigga dad is like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then so, like, Paige go in the bathroom and talk to her little itty bitty self. And she's like, she's just like, I think I should just let him experience the trauma. And the itty bitty self has said, no, fuck that shit, nigga. We have to save this little child from this bullshit and fucking this nigga's lying to his face. It's like, you in between a rock and a hard place. That's your fucking baby, nigga. Like, you know what this nigga about to do. Love bombing and promising all this bullshit. Playing all these motherfucking video games off top, not taking responsibility off top from not being in his motherfucking life. No, nigga, I just feel like, I think he did take responsibility. Like, he expects this nigga to rage at him or some shit. I don't know. But I just didn't like it. I didn't like the love bombing. And then he gonna promise to be there for Christmas. And only because Edwin came up and talked to him. He was like, I'm gonna come for Christmas and Sean. And so this nigga seemed anxious too. And his wife makes more money than him. She's like rich, like wealthy. Not rich, wealthy. Her family owns like shit. And so like, he got anxiety too. I wonder if he's in an emotionally abusive relationship. And like, when he do be trying to go and visit his son or do some shit like that, his wife be like, nah, nigga. Like, she wasn't even there today. What if he only did that because she wasn't going to be there? He seemed kind of shivery and shaky. I mean, it's not an excuse, because why you ain't leaving that bitch? Why you ain't leaving? Why you ain't working on yourself and leaving that bitch? Like, why you ain't making a safety plan so that you can get up out of there and shit like that? See, no, nigga, if you gonna do it, you gonna try. You gonna try. No, because niggas can only hurt so much. Niggas can only endure so much pain. Like, people in general can only endure so much pain. And I just believe that at a certain point, either you gonna do it or you not. And so, what if he is? What if he is and some shit like that? That would be crazy. God bless him, but like, still, what he did to the little boy is wrong. Nah, it ain't an excuse. Why would you even say you would come then? Don't say you gonna come. Don't dangle carrots then. If you in some shit like that, just be like, no, I can't. Just be a bitch about it. Just be an asshole about it. Just push him away. But no, you want a little taste. You want that nigga to kind of like you a little bit, just because you know a little part of you is rebelling from all the shit you going through and shit. Let me see. I'm rambling. I don't even know. He might not be. He might just be a bitch altogether. See, the conundrums. So anyways, like, they got this whole Christmas episode, right? It's Christmas in July, bitch. I thought about that. I was like, it's in July. It is. There's this Christmas episode in July and shit, nigga. I forgot what day it is, but like, that's what they call it. It's Rudolph and Santa and what is it? Frosty the Snowman and shit. But anyways, they at her house, and like, Edwin wants to have the perfect Christmas, because I think he remembered that he got arrested on Christmas, and I think he was triggered too, and he felt guilty and shit, and that's why he wanted to have the perfect Christmas and shit. On top of all the other Christmases, he wasn't there. And then they white mama come over, and she chilling and stuff, and then like, Paige is like trying to hole up in a little office and shit, because she don't want to be a part of it, because she's all traumatized from Christmas, and she don't know why. But the little Paige, and she like, you know why? And it was the day that her daddy got arrested the first time. And she got taken from the home. And not because the audacity of this nigga. And he wasn't even going to like talk about it. He remembers. He knows. But he wasn't even going to say nothing. That's why he rushing around frantic and shit, trying to have a perfect Christmas and shit. Nah, nigga, you ain't doing that for no reason. You ain't doing that. Shut up. And he even said it. I want to make up for all the past Christmases and shit. Da, da, da. But you know specifically the Christmas that fucked her up. Her mom, she came back and her mom didn't want her back. She sent her out for adoption or foster care and shit. That shit is fucked up. And she remembered that, had a flashback, and she asked her dad about it, and he was like, yeah, that happened, and I'm sorry, and da 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 da. And so I think she went and sat down and cried a little bit, and then came back out and was fine. She talked to herself. Shit, like. So she was all like fucked up on Christmas. That fucked me up, because I was just like, I don't like Christmas. I don't like the holidays. It's not me. It's not. It isn't. So it was triggering, and I just feel like this whole show is triggering. And so, anyways, what happened? So, anyways, another reason they are gonna end up not liking Christmas is apparently the mom dies. Like, Wait, Etsy is it one thing. Etsy is trying to what is she trying to? She's trying to do a DNA test, and she feels guilty, right? Because she wants to know who her parents are. So she got that shit going on, and then she tells the mom, and then the mom goes upstairs, and the mom dies. And I was just like, that's gonna fuck everyone up. They're gonna be traumatized. Essie after that couldn't even cry. Like, next episode, they was at the funeral. She couldn't even cry and shit. She was all fucked up about it. And then, like, first Edwin talks to because the dad doesn't show up, right? The dad doesn't show up. So Edwin talks to the dad, and the dad texts him and says he's not going to show up. But the kid been calling dad all day, I think. And he ain't even responded. Or he texted him or some shit. He didn't even respond to the kid. I'm tired. I feel so bad for him. That's not right. And so, like, Edwin talks to the kid, and he's like, you know, people are just gonna be human, and you know they make mistakes, and you know that doesn't mean that they don't love you and shit. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't, but it does mean that the mistakes are affecting me, and you're not doing anything about them, and they keep happening, and I can't keep running into a brick wall. So like, we can't do that anymore. But you know, he might try a few more times before he gets tired. No, that's what happens. You know, you just try a few more times because you want to believe in your heart of hearts that this person can change and do better and all the things. And that's fair. Like, you know, whatever, nigga. And so, like, they have the funeral, and Etsy can't even cry and shit. She all fucked up and shit. But so he talks to Etsy and tells Etsy what Edwin said. Etsy's all like, yeah, that's right. I can still send my DNA off and, you know, feel bad about, you know, that she died off of that. I was like, okay. And then this bitch gonna proclaim her love to Mal at the fucking funeral. And I was just like, okay, girl, I'm gonna proclaim our love in front of all these fucking people. And then he just leaves. And then, like, Edwin had left for the day because he went to go get his license. And come to find out, Edwin bought a food truck because he wants to do a food truck. And he's been talking about doing a food truck since the 90s. And that's why he's been doing all this robbing and stealing and all this other stuff. And I feel like first few thousand, you probably could have bought the food truck, especially in the 90s and stuff. And you could have just popped off from there. You didn't even... he could have, like, that's what I don't understand. Like, if you do hoodlum shit, like, literally the first 20,000, I'm out. Like, no, I'm just gonna invest and grow and, like, keep doing what I'm doing, and, like, no, I'm not gonna stay in this shit and die. Like, but see, they make you, like, stay, and I'm not doing that. Like, but then I wouldn't do that at all, just because niggas just are crazy. I'm not down for that. So, like, he been talking about this shit for a while and could have already been done it, but, like, he decided to do it now when he got his mind in a better place or whatever the fuck. So she's all happy about that, but like, she wasn't happy. She was like, well, are you gonna still have your job because she's still thinking, like, she's still reacting. No, nigga, she's like, oh, here comes the bullshit. She was ready for that bullshit. She was. I was like, I know, bitch. This is just more bullshit. But he understood this time. Like, this is just gonna keep happening until you prove yourself a bunch of time, nigga. Are you willing to sacrifice? What? Like, it's exhausting. Like, you know, like, are you willing to sacrifice? Like, she gonna try her best, though. She gonna try her best not to mention shit. Like, until eventually she's gonna stop. You know, she's gonna keep going to therapy and work on herself. That's the ideal. You know, and eventually she's gonna stop because you keep showing up and shit. Like, I don't know what the fuck you want me to say. No, like, that's our relapsing. He's gonna be on edge waiting for you to do some fuck shit. Like, some of us will say things. Some of us will just dissociate. Some of us will be angry about it. It just depends on the person how they, like, respond when they're on edge. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Okay, we're just gonna wait and see what happens. You said you were gonna do the thing, so okay. You know, I don't know, but like it happens, and so she gets back home, right? And so Mal shows up while she's doing her little sad video, and she be posting these fucking videos on the internet. Like Murphy said some shit about it, and then she stopped. But like she was posting some shit about dating and shit. I was just like, niggas be vulnerable, but we don't need to be that vulnerable. Like you just. She's like, this helps my mental health, but like, what does it do for the people that you see like as clients? And like, there's some things you say and some things you don't. Like, you just wide-eyed and big mouth looking crazy and shit. Like, God. It's just like, is that how I look? Like, let me okay. No, nigga, like, wait a minute. I was just, why you so all up in the thing? Like, so she's doing her sad video. And he walks up behind her. He's like, and he be popping these collars, nigga. Like, these collars be popped. And I just be like, is this a signature? Like, because he was popping his collars in that other show in that college and shit. Like, it's like a signature thing. Like, what's going on? And so he shows up and he proclaims his love and said he broke up with Ava. And I was just like, you know, they belong together. Like, he's a fixer. She needs to be fixed. And like, she's getting better, but like, she ain't gonna be an Ava. Like, no, there's certain levels you can get to. I just feel like shit. Maybe, you know, she could, maybe. Well, she could, like, with continued therapy and work on herself and self-love and all the magical things. She could be an Ava. Yes, she could. Name of Jesus. And the show ends. And, you know, it was a good show. Like, I liked it. But there was just some little things that was just, like, it just felt gaslighty. It just felt like, because he almost killed her son. And so, I don't understand why she was made to feel the type of way about being upset and having knee-jerk reactions. Like, that shit rewound itself when that's a new trauma. Like, he almost killed her son in a car accident because her son was traumatized from the fact that he felt like it was his fault this nigga went to jail, when it didn't even have to happen if the nigga had just not done nefarious shit and fought the urge. Just fought the urge and just been like, no, I'm not gonna, that's not smart. I'm gonna take the bus or do the Uber. Something. Figure it out, nigga. Like, I don't understand. But otherwise, it was good, you know. I enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed it too. And I hope you enjoyed this. And yes. That fucked me up because she was crying and apologizing over and over and over again just because she took space from his shenanigans one time. I don't even care if she did it multiple times. She's a lot. Look what he's doing to her. Like, he almost killed her son. So, you know, I don't care how many times she did it. If that's the chaos he brings in the short amount of time he's in her life, when he comes into her life, you know, he fucked her. Like, she would have just not had a son. He would have been dead. His neck wobbled when he hit that shit. Like, what if this is like a dream sequence and he's actually dead? And like at the end of the series, like, we don't find out this was all fake. He actually died and shit. Or was in a coma and imagine all this shit. That would be fucked. Oh, that would be so fucked. Oh my. So, you know, right, like, I feel validated in my speculations of some of these parts in the show. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and later days.